Good afternoon. I'm Lola Brabham, President of the Commission on Independent Colleges and Universities in New York, and it is an honor to be here with you today on such a significant day. We are so fortunate to have a governor who values higher education and who has an unwavering commitment to investing in the future of New York's workforce. Governor Hochul understands that higher education, both public and private, is developing the next generation of entrepreneurs, educators, and healthcare workers that our state needs. So thank you, Governor, for your belief in the transformative power of higher education and its critical role in workforce development. As you are aware, New York is projected to face a shortage of almost 40,000 nurses by 2030. Under Governor Hochul's fierce leadership, New York State has created the Nurses Across New York Loan Repayment Program, the Nurses of Our Future Scholarship Program, which helps to recruit and retain new nurses, and increased support for the Patricia McGee Nursing Faculty Scholarship to train the next generation of nursing educators. But there's still more work to do. That is what brings us here today. Nursing education programs across New York State are ready to help address this workforce shortage, but there is not enough clinical placements available. To address this problem, independent sector colleges, SUNY and CUNY, formed a historic partnership and worked in close collaboration with the bill sponsors, Senator Stavisky and Assemblymember Lepardo, and with the State Education Department to draft the nursing simulation legislation. The passage of this historic legislation illustrates how the public and private sectors form an ecosystem that together and only together can educate and develop the skilled workforce our state needs to address the needs of New Yorkers now and in the future. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for your leadership and for moving very quickly to sign this critical legislation to allow nursing programs to use simulation-based clinical education for up to 1/3 of clinical hours, enabling nursing students to receive the training that they need and nursing programs to expand to address the crisis that we face. I want to thank Senator Stavisky, Assemblymember Lepardo, SUNY Chancellor John King, CUNY Chancellor Felix Matos Rodriguez, Board of Regents Chancellor Lester Young, New York State Education Department Commissioner Betty Rosa, and Assembly Member Pat Fahey, Chair of the Assembly Higher Education Committee. I'd also like to acknowledge CICU member institutions for their invaluable work in helping to pass this legislation. CICU represents over 100 independent colleges and universities in New York, and our schools graduate 2/3 of the nurses in this state. Several are here today, including the College of St. Rose, DeUville University, Maria College, Malloy University, and Russell Sage College. Thank you for your work. Now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce the 57th governor of the great state of New York, our governor, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Oh, thank you, Lola. I was asking her how she enjoys being out of government work, but you really haven't left us. So thank you for the great work that you do representing all the independent colleges. And I also do want to recognize our sponsors here today, Senator Toby Stavisky for her leadership in championing this cause, and also Donna Lepardo, our sponsor in the Assembly. Thank you very much. Pat Fahey is also the chair of the Assembly Higher Education Committee. He's been very involved in this as well. We also have James McDonald, the acting state health commissioner. Give a round of applause to our newest commissioner, and to Commissioner John King, our chancellor, and Felix Matos Rodriguez also for the work they're doing as well. So we have a lot of people here, and also all the students. Raise your hand if you're a student. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Maria College, I believe. So glad to be joined today by so many healthcare professionals, our students, our elected leaders, and, you know, as many of us took note of the fact that last week the World Health Organization declared the COVID health emergency to be over, finally. But here in New York, we're really still dealing with the aftermath, the effect that is just so pervasive throughout society, and the sense of vulnerability that many New Yorkers have, having seen our state hit the hardest, city of New York particularly hit the hardest. And when it comes to rebuilding our healthcare workforce, we think about what happened during those really frightening days, weeks, months, and into the years. We lost a lot of healthcare workers. Some succumbed to the illness themselves. Some couldn't take the emotional trauma that they felt when they literally saw more people die in their presence than they had seen perhaps in their entire career. I mean, that takes a very human toll on individuals who are on the front lines. And so to our healthcare workers, our doctors and nurses and all the personnel who are there, you know, we don't diminish the fact that there's still lingering effects of this, even though it may be officially over. And the sacrifices that were made, the long, long hours, the fear of bringing home a deadly illness to your own children, your own parents, your own spouses, they did it. They did it. And yes, it's 3 years later, but I will never stop talking about how in awe I am of what they were doing, taking care of the most vulnerable. And so you heard from Lola, we do have a nursing shortage. That's not good news. This is a time when we need to have more people, not just from what we saw during the pandemic and the loss of workers there, but also an aging population and the challenges that people face as they get older and have, you know, living longer, living a lot longer. And so that brings upon the demand for more healthcare workers overall. So a shortage of 40,000 by the year 2030. I used to think 2030 was a long way off. It is right around the corner, my friends. We're all going to be around for that one. So last year in my state budget, first time as governor, I said, we have a crisis, and I committed that we would continue to do everything we can to help grow the workforce at least by 20% more over the next 5 years. We invested over $10 billion in a multi-year effort, all hands on deck, across the board way to support our healthcare workers, our institutions, and that meant $4 billion in wages and bonuses for healthcare workers as just a way to say thank you. We know what you've gone through. We want you to stay in your profession. We launched the Nurses for Our Future program to recruit the next generation of workers, over 1,000 scholarships, full tuition to go to people who want to enter this profession and get a 2- or 4-year degree at one of our institutions. Also, loan repayments. You know, the cost of education is high. So we help repay their loans, $2.5 million also helping to train nurses to go into our underserved communities. And that can be a rural area. It can be a very densely populated city block, but we know where they are, and we're trying to get more personnel to go into them. We also have to modernize the training process, and I have been on site at a lot of institutions. I've seen what the training looks like. I've asked a lot of questions. And right now, to become a nurse in the state of New York, you have to have clinical placement, your placement in a hospital setting. That's great. Sounds good. I'm sure it worked at one point. It can be tough right now for schools to find the ability to place people, find a lot of logistics involved, and it's basically less convenient for people. So yes, it's a good way, but it's not the only way. And I've witnessed everything from a robotic model that I helped deliver a baby when I was at a hospital. So I think I'm going to stay right where I am in my career. But it also reminded me that, you know, these are so realistic, and the experience is basically identical, it feels, to what you'd be doing if there was a real person that I was attempting to deliver a baby from. So we have high-tech, high-quality simulation training available to us now, and experts say it really is just as good as the real thing. And so overseen by the Department of Education, again, Commissioner Betty Rosen, I thank her for her leadership. It allows students to provide health care on a simulated patient. It offers more opportunities to be even in more intense situations and scenarios that even might not occur in a clinical environment. Think about that. You have everything thrown at you. You may or may not if you're dealing with real people. So in that sense, it's really an enhanced education. And healthcare professionals, public health leaders have been singing the praises of this for years, and so this is fantastic. It's a safe place to learn, help students manage their critical thinking, manage stressful situations, build teamwork, that camaraderie you need when you're on the floor and Everything's going off, and it's a tense situation. And so simulated training, now we like to think we're number one in everything in New York, and we are number one in many things. It's available in 31 other states. So this is not an area where it's actually, what you can say is nation leading. And so here we're saying, why not New York? What's taking so long? So we're going to make sure that we prioritize learning without sacrificing patient safety. And this will help clear the logjam, expedite training, and deliver an influx of nurses that are needed right now. So that brings us here today. I'm proud to sign a bill into law that will permit nursing professionals to complete at least up to one-third of their training, their clinical trainings through simulation experiences. And so I want to thank again Senator Stavisky and Assembly Member Donna Lupardo for getting this through the legislature, and Pat Fahey for her leadership. And as governor, I'm doing everything I possibly can to support the healthcare community, and particularly nurses, and trying to lighten the burden and get more of them. Think about this. The more nurses enter the system, enter the workplace, it takes some of the pressure off those who've been just trying to keep it going during some really tough times when they're just not seeing the number of colleagues on the floor managing the workflow. So it didn't just, think about the pandemic, as I mentioned at the beginning, it didn't just put a spotlight on the need for more personnel, more professionals. It also showed us the importance, the critical importance of state-of-the-art research facilities. I mean, these vaccines, these life-saving measures weren't just dreamed up anywhere. They were with highly professional organizations, a lot of them are public health labs, and finding new treatments for diseases that we have today and those we may not even think about that'll be there in the future. And so we are blessed to have this right here in Albany. Many people across the state were not even familiar with the words, the Wadsworth Center until the pandemic hit. And we realized that there are people, and I've walked through there during the pandemic and afterward, and I was so in awe of the individuals who worked morning, noon, and night. Unsung heroes, people not aware that they were literally developing life-saving treatments and vaccines and just doing everything they could with all their expertise, pulling together as a team. And so we have one of the world's premier public health research facilities right here in Albany. And we're proud of that, but now is the time to invest even more. If you've been on the campus, you'd say, this is world premier state-of-the-art? No. It fails to meet the demands of today and certainly the demands of tomorrow. So we're more than doubling the investment approved back in 2018. We're committing $967 million to a total investment of $1.7 billion. These are not inexpensive, but they're essential. And we're going to consolidate 5 facilities onto the lab of the Harriman office campus and be completed by 2030. And I'm proud to announce that we've searched the earth for the most talented individual. We found Dr. Leonard Peruski, and I want him to raise his hand and say hello. He's the center's new director. He led the international laboratory operations at the CDC's Division of Global Health Protection. That's a pretty good resume, Dr. Peruski. We're delighted to welcome you to join the family here in the state of New York and really take us to the next level. And I want to thank, again, Commissioner McDonald as well for helping us land the most talented people here as well. You spent over 60 decades guiding research in over 60 countries, and we are so fortunate to have him right here as well. So that's the good news, and I'm feeling really optimistic about how we're going to tackle these challenges that lie before us. Part of it's investing resources into Wadsworth. The other part is getting more people and getting people excited again about healthcare professions. And it's taken a beating, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. But when you think about the power an individual has when they have the training and the ability to go out there and hold someone's hand in their scariest, darkest hour and give them some comfort, that is powerful. To me, there's no calling as rewarding as that, as much as it's so hard day in and day out. And again, to the nurses in the room, the Nurses Association, I want to thank them, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we keep our promise to New Yorkers. I always promise that we'll protect the health of New Yorkers, protect the health of the economy, and we have been through a lot together. But with bills like this, it's an important step forward to say We're going to do everything we can to get more nurses to help lift the burden from those who are there today and make sure that every New Yorker has the first-rate quality health care they're entitled to. So thank you very much. And with that, let me bring up our sponsor in the Senate, Toby Stavisky.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Governor. And thank you to the Commission on Independent Colleges and Universities. Lola, your office came to me a couple of years ago and said, we need help and we have a solution, and I certainly want to acknowledge you and everything that you have done. We've been talking about a nursing shortage for a long time, and Governor, you're about to help with that problem. Lola mentioned the Senator Pat McGee scholarships. Pat was in the state Senate when I was first elected, and I was the ranking member on the Higher Education Committee at the time. And they created a subcommittee or task force for the Higher Education Committee on the nursing shortage, and this had to be 20 years ago. Pat's mother was a nurse in the southern tier of New York, and she held hearings throughout the state, and I attended many of them, on how to resolve the nursing shortage. So this is obviously a problem that is not new. But today we're going to do something about it. In addition to the scholarship money that the governor has provided over the last 2 years, we're going to do something about it and make use of the technology to train a new generation of nurses with hands-on, literally hands-on experience. Doesn't have to take place in a hospital setting anymore. And this legislation, I hope, will make a profound difference in people's lives. Excuse me. The question of where can we find new nurses? Obviously, the nursing facility, the nursing schools are going to be one area, but we've got to look for creative ways, I think, to find additional nurses. There are a lot of nurses who are New York State trained and licensed nurses throughout the state who left for a variety of reasons, perhaps to raise a family, perhaps they were burned out. But I believe that the next step has to be to find these nurses and give them the incentives to return, whether it be economic, whether it be support, whatever. So I look forward in the days ahead to working with all of my colleagues, and I particularly want to thank Assemblymember Lepardo, Assemblymember Fahey, the staff from the State Senate and the Assembly, and particularly CICU, as well as the support we received from the City University of New York, the Chancellor Matos Rodriguez, and SUNY, and the Chancellor John King, and the State Education Department, which came on board with all of the amendments. They did a remarkable job in helping us literally cross the finish line. So I thank you all very much.
And now, please welcome to the stage Assemblymember Donna Lepardo.
Thank you very much. Governor, thank you sincerely for your efforts to strengthen the healthcare workforce. It really means a lot to communities like mine that have been through so much. We've all been through so much together. I think we're going to look back on this period and really congratulate each other and with awe that we all made it through the other side of this, of COVID. But as you've pointed out, We do have a longstanding issue with nursing. I represent Binghamton, New York, where flight simulation was invented 100 years ago. It changed the way pilots were trained, giving them a realistic hands-on experience. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to be in a plane with someone flying it who hadn't been through a simulation experience. It is a valued training tool, and as the governor mentioned, it encourages students to build teamwork, creative thinking, to really think on the fly on a simulated person. I take great comfort in knowing that nurses of the future will be trained in this way. These simulation experiences are being successfully used in other professions, as was noted, like nursing. At my own Binghamton University's Decker College of Nursing, I have been so impressed by the realistic nature of these state-of-the-art simulations. We have some that you can see the whiskers on people's faces. You can get a resting pulse. You can get some surprises, to be honest. They usually set up some surprises when I go there when someone starts coughing and having a stroke or a cardiac arrest. But in any event, I want to thank the governor. Thank you so much for signing this legislation, to Senator for your partnership, certainly to Pat Fahey for moving this bill through committee, to the advocacy of so many, as was mentioned, the SUNY Chancellor, the CUNY Chancellor, and of course, KICU, Commission on Independent Colleges and Universities, and my staff and others who work so very hard. So again, allowing 1/3 of clinical training to be simulation-based, not only going to help this nursing shortage that we're so committed to, it's going to expose students to a valuable hands-on learning experience, not unlike our pilots. Thank you very much.
And now it's time to sign the legislation. Please stay seated as Governor Hochul signs the bill.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Folks, once you get the pen, you can come on down.